Shalom, 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 shalom. First and foremost, giving infinite praises, glory, and honor into Yahweh, Ba'ashem Al-Shah, Ba'ashem Hakodash. Giving double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom and salutation to you sincere Akims across the four winds, pushing this truth with sincerity of heart. I'm your fellow servant, Kasamagan from the DC camp. And I'm coming at you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shah, Ba'ashem Hakodash to feed the elect. And this video, I wanted to go into the idols, in particular dumb idols. When you read the book of 1 Corinthians, which I'm gonna read the first and the second chapter, you know, we've read that chapter, that verse a lot of times, you know, to show the fact that in the history when Paul went to the Corinthians, when he went to all of these different places, he was speaking to the Israelites. He was speaking to the Jews scattered across those areas. You know, at the time, I think it was called Eurasia. So those were not heathens he was speaking to. Those were not individuals of a different race or different nation. They were Israelites. Okay, that's who he was speaking to. Okay, and one of the things that he said was what? Let's get straight to it. As a matter of fact, he said, you know, bear with me. I'm not in a great location, so it may take a few seconds to load up, but I already have the precepts set up. You know, we just gotta bear with it. It should be very instructive, this lesson going into the idols, because you know we're gonna get to see the both sides of idol worship. Okay, the good side of idol worship and the evil side of idol worship. All right, so this is 1 Corinthians chapter 12, actually. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1, it says, "Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles," right? Gentiles was a term allocated to Israelites born in foreign lands. Even going further to speaking to Israelites that were not only born in foreign land, but also picked up the customs and the lifestyle of the surrounding nations, the heathens, all right, the lands in which they were born. Okay, those were called, that's the term that was put upon them, Gentiles. Okay, now the true original, I would say, Gentiles or heathens, the nations. Okay, who are the nations? Is any nation that's not part of the nation of Israel. Who's the nation of Israel? So-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay, they constitute the 12 tribes of Israel, the true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Anybody else that's not of that nation would be called a heathen. Okay, according to the scriptures. So it says, verse 2, it says, "Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led." So the focus of the video is the dumb idols, being carried away into those dumb idols. So now, like I said earlier, you had different nations, and even when you go to the book of Acts, it speaks about how the Israelites came to the Pentecost, you know, and it tells you that what the Israelites came from different land and they spoke different languages. They came from India, Persia, which is India, parts, you know, that area, and which is Elam ultimately. They came from different places. Egypt, you know, representing Africa. They came from different places and they spoke those languages. And most of them were born and raised outside of the land and then eventually learned their nationality and came back to keep the feast. Okay? So you have to understand that's always been a part of our history and part of picking up a different culture, because remember, a culture comes with a God. Okay, anytime you talk about culture, lifestyle, you really get that from a higher power, from a divine source. Because actual men don't come up with their own culture. Culture and lifestyle is inspired by a God, by a divine power. Now, when it comes to the culture of the Israelites, which is inspired by the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, whom the world calls God, and his Son, Yahushua, whom the world is known as Jesus Christ. Our culture is inspired by Yahweh, Yahushua, and it's shown through the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Now, with the other nation is similar as far as their culture, and also inspired by the divine powers that has given them those lifestyles. Now, we know what those divine powers are. That's why Paul called them dumb idols, because those powers are idols. And if we're going to get into the word idol, we're going to get into the word dumb. So one of the ones that I had, right, that we know our people, Israelites, have engaged in for centuries. Okay, I have a few idols that I pulled up as examples to show examples of what Paul was talking about when he was telling them, yo, you were once believers in these idols. You will want partakers in that culture. Okay. Now, what you have the statue of Allah. Because see, when people, and it's crazy because a lot of people in Islam don't even know this, but Allah really has a statue when you go back to his origins. And the origins of Allah is the moon god. As you see right here, the moon god that's the original statue or idol of Allah. Okay, and the word idol means image, and we're gonna get into that. Okay, so Allah is a different God. It's not the God of the Hebrews. Okay, that's the God or the spirit that inspired, in particular, Ishmael. Right, Ishmael, the descendant, the forefather of the Ishmaelites, the Saudis, and them, and then they were inspired by that power, that spirit, to come up with Allah and the culture that follows. Right, as we see the Quran and all of that stuff. That has nothing to do with us Israelites, but a lot of us partook into that. A lot of us were born into that, but still we're not of that. And that's what Paul was telling them, that, yeah, you're not of that. You're not a Gentile. You're not an Arab. You're not none of that. Okay? You're a Hebrew Israelite. You got your own culture. You got your own power. You got your own laws, your own lifestyle. Okay? So you also had going to Elam, when I said earlier, the Persians, which includes India, Pakistan, Kyrgyzstan, a lot of those stands out there, Armenia, they have their gods, especially India, which is well known for their idol worship. One of their idols is, I don't know why I said Allah here, but when I was putting Allah, one of course, the statue of Shiva, which is, the god over there pre-Islamic, because now you have a lot of Persians that are into Islam. You have a lot of Persians that are into Islam. So pre-Islamic gods of the Persians were, gods like Shiva. All right. So now let me go to let me go to the westernized gods, especially during that time in ancient Greece. As you see, you might have seen the image. Like I said, bear with me. I'm not in the greatest spot, but just got to bear. It's going to load up. One of the image that you saw that I clicked in was the image of Jupiter. All right, there you go. So it's the image of Jupiter with the eagle. All right, the image of Jupiter with the eagle goes into that whole myth of Zeus and so on and so forth. Jupiter is really Zeus. It's the Roman god for the Roman translation, a transition of the Greek god Zeus. And then you see he has that eagle. That's where you get that the Germans had the eagle. And you have ultimately, of course, Babylon. the virgin daughter of Babylon, the United States, dealing with the ego. It goes back to the idol worship. It's very important. It's very critical to understand that when you vouch for the lifestyle, the lifestyle in Babylon, the United States of America, you vouching for the lifestyle of the Greek god Jupiter and many other gods, because America basically was a compilation of all of these different gods. How do you know? Because America is a compilation of all the nations of the entire earth. All 18 nations are represented here in America. You can find every nation, you can find families here that represent every nation, right? Every race on the planet Earth. And all of these different races have these gods, these idols, okay? And you have our people that have been sprinkled amongst the nations and their gods, and have picked up those customs, okay? And have been born amongst them. So it's very important to understand, and it affects your lifestyle, it affects how you see things, how you carry yourself, the energy that you have, okay? So the other one that I had, as you seen as it uploads, it was Buddha. All right, and that's the one that's gonna pop up as Buddha, of course. And Buddha has to do with the Moab, the Moabites. When I said the Moabites, the so-called Chinese, that is their idol, that is their image. But you have a lot of Israelites, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans that are into Hinduism and Buddhism. They are into that. All right, they'll be known as Gentiles. Okay, that's what they will be known. They'll be known as Gentiles. Okay, Israelites that live a lifestyle and are under the influence of different gods of the nations. Okay, which was explicitly forbidden in the scriptures. As Israelites, is explicitly forbidden for us to worship other gods. That's Exodus 20. That's the first commandment. Thou shalt not have any other god besides me. So these are just some of the idols that I had. And I also, of course, I looked into our people, especially Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? The so-called Negroes, West Indians, and Haitians, located in Africa, and particularly the bulk of those souls being located in the western side of Africa. And I just looked in there, and I was just like, okay, West African deities, and it was impressive. It was things I didn't even know, because if you know me, my background goes back to that, the western side of Africa, but I didn't know about these deities. So maybe something that my folks, maybe grandfather, I don't even think that my parents know about it. Maybe generations, 2 or 3 generations will know about this. So it was very, very surprising well, it wasn't surprising, it was enlightening to see that. It wasn't a surprise, it was more so enlightening. So just bear with me again. Well, this one is not. Okay. Let me see. Salakia, just bear with me. Okay, this cannot be reached. Well, alright, well, I don't know, it's not coming up. But either way, they had like different gods, or so-called gods, from the western side of Africa. So now this one, Lord willing, this one uploads. Satan is definitely not with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's certain idols that pop up that kind of, it was shocking it was shocking to see that. So let me see if this one is gonna upload. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. It's taking a lot longer. Let me see. Yeah, it's taking a lot longer because I definitely wanted to bring this one out. Damn. Okay. Yeah, this is really a bad location. what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut this out as part 1, and then I'm gonna get to a better location, and I'm gonna shoot a part 2. All right, stay tuned, man. I mean, this is gonna be very, very interesting, especially the last 2 idols that I have for you. It's gonna be very, very interesting. So I'm gonna cut this out for now because I'm in a horrible location, and I'm gonna shoot a part 2. All right, shalom.